everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted. Today I have an extra special guest, Anne Carrigy, our CIO here at Logitech. Anne, thanks for being on the show. How are you?
I'm good, Nathan. Good to hear that I'm an extra special guest. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your role at Logitech today. In fact, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you got here too, because you have a really interesting background.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I've been in Logitech a long time. I'm actually in Logitech over 30 years, would you believe? And I started in the supply chain organization in Logitech. So I'm not technically trained. And over the years in the work that I was doing in supply chain, I got more and more into the business process improvement and application space. And it got to such a point that the decision was made, the role at times in some organizations sat in the supply chain organization and other times in IT. And the decision was made to move the role and be into the IT organization, which for me was a challenging transition in the initial period. And then as the time went on, I evolved. So I expanded my responsibilities behind applications and gradually over the years, taking on more and more responsibilities within the IT organization, culminating then 2 years ago and taking over the role of the Chief Information Officer.
That's an amazing ride. And one of the things I will tell you, and I've seen many people at Logitech do this, is they move careers or different areas all the time. And I really appreciate that. In fact, I'm moving myself from the product group into marketing. So it's a really interesting company where we give everyone a chance to excel and exceed. And obviously you have a great track record, so we can definitely see that in IT as well.
And I think it influences, my supply chain background has definitely influenced how I manage and take the IT organization forward. And I'm sure you'll see that. I think it's very important for people to get broad perspectives because it contributes to being a high-performing team as well.
Absolutely. So recently, I think maybe even last week, there was an article published in Silicon Republic, and you talked about security. So give us a glimpse of what that was all about.
I think security is ever front and central and more so for companies now. And particularly as we've moved into this hybrid world where people are working more and more remotely. And so the security risks increase. So for us, very much, it's about protecting the services of the products that we utilize, but also about educating. And as they always say, people are the weakest link. So I think it's educating our users, making them aware of the challenges that are out there and having robust systems in place. I think this is all very crucial from the security perspective, and it's front and central for every organization.
So I have to ask, what is the most surprising thing for you coming over to IT? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot to learn. I mean, as there is a lot for me to learn as well in my new role. But what was the big surprise?
I think originally, and again, I'm going back maybe 15 years ago, when technology, IT was still very much kind of black boxes, bits and bytes. And I think there's been an evolution now, and technology very much is about empowerment and enablement, and particularly, and it's enabling people to be most productive and efficient and effective, and in Logitech, obviously technology is the core of what we do and it's cool products. It's not about black boxes. It's about enabling functions and our employees to be more productive and efficient. So it really is about human beings rather than the technology. It's an enabling and empowering thing. And I think, if we can tie it more and more to the work that we do in IT, to company priorities, to the priorities of our employees, that then it creates for better organization. It creates for more engaged employees, both in the IT organization and across the board. And if an employee knows, that an IT employee knows, I'm doing this, I'm cloning this environment, but actually what it's going to do is enable our salespeople sell more. It ties people more to the company and the feeling of engagement.
I agree. And somehow we've achieved this across teams at Logitech. I don't know how. I've never really seen this kind of culture before. And it's really awesome if you obviously contribute as well. But I would consider myself a challenging employee for IT in general. Just by the sheer amount of tech that I usually use on a day-to-day basis and the crazy things that I ask them to do. But I will tell you, Anne, I'm not saying this just because you're on the call. There are people that will sit with me on a call until it is resolved, regardless of how ridiculous my requests are. And they're all within the parameters, obviously, of business. But sometimes I've got multiple Macs and they're doing weird things and I can't figure out what file is corrupting something. They will sit with me virtually till it is resolved. And I really appreciate that because they really want me to succeed. And that's a culture we have everywhere, actually.
Yeah. And I mean, I mentioned earlier on, I've been a long time in Logitech. The culture and the environment that's there, as well as the type of cool products that we do, has been crucial and keeping me here. But I will also say that help desk environment is only one very small segment of what IT do. I mean, we're involved in digital transformation. We're involved in enabling functions be more productive, right? But process re-engineering. There's a lot more there than just that help desk as well. And I think that's very important to call out.
That is interesting, right? Because I think everyone, including myself, we think IT, we think help desk, we think I need a new laptop. Oh my gosh, my email's not working. But you're right, there's so much that goes on in the background because the technology part today is actually the easy part. It's the enablement, it's the empowerment, it's getting it right, it's the secure aspects of it. It's just a different environment. So I'm glad you called that one out.
I mean, perspective there for you, I mean, I think the help desk people, it probably maybe 10%, less than 10% of the overall IT organization. So it gives you perspective on all the other stuff that's going on too.
Oh, that's great to know. So let's move into a different direction. So I can already feel your passion, right? So you're really, really passionate about what you do, probably across all the different roles you've had at Logitech. What's driving that passion today? What are you focused on?
For me, what was always crucial is that the work that I do makes a difference, that can drive change. I mean, I think you spend 40 hours, 50 hours, whatever it might be at work. And I think that's always been important. I suppose there are three things at the moment that I'm really passionate about. Like I've said earlier, the ways of working have changed in the world. We've got this hybrid work where people now are in the office or they're at home, and driving that collaboration and enabling the human interaction and connection is really important. And how do we do that as an IT organization to make that equitable experience for everybody, to make sure you're as efficient working from home as you are in the office? That's one clear area that's very passionate and how we move forward. The other is the deep partnerships. Like I talked about earlier, tech previously, for me anyway, it was black boxes. Now it's very much about unleashing potential. Our mission in Logitech is to extend human potential in work and play. Within IT, we take that and we say extend human potential in Logitech. And you do that by having deep partnerships with your internal stakeholders, understanding their business priorities, understanding their strategies and their pain points. So working together in these type of fusion teams that we can drive and bring benefit for the company at large. I think the other one then is high-performing teams. I think there's nothing like a high-performing team. And I think enabling and creating high-performing teams is absolutely crucial. Many ways to do that. I'm not saying we're there. It's a work in process, but I think it's key. I think one element of the high-performing teams is very much diverse and inclusive teams. And diversity and inclusion is very central to us in Logitech as well. And equally, and as a woman leader, I think having women and having more women within the IT organization, something very passionate about as well.
Then there's the rest of the job, right? There's the rest of the stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis. And if you had to recommend or advise another CIO in terms of what they should be focused on today, what would that be?
Oh gosh, can we talk about GenAI?
I talk about this on almost every podcast, but you can't really get away without actually talking about AI. But yeah, how are you thinking about GenAI?
And it's going to change. It's changing the face of IT. But I think it's, and I think people are cautious about it and overly optimistic about it. I think one of the things is, as human beings, we evolve. You've always used tools. Before it might have been a hammer or a saw or a knife. The tools now are more and more digital. GenAI is one of those tools, and we need to figure out how to use it, but obviously in a safe way. And I think what's very important is that we still maintain our critical thinking. We still maintain common sense and how we might use it. I think there's a lot, clearly there's a lot of hype about it at the moment, right? So we can use it in different ways, and I'm figuring out the ways that we'll use it. So in Logitech, we'll use it in several different ways. We use it obviously for operational excellence, looking at where we can automate, how we can enable our employees to be more productive in using it in the right ways. I think that's crucial. We use it in Logitech, say, in our products as well. Obviously, we have a tabletop companion camera that creates equitable meetings where it splits the screen into equal ways for people focusing on the speakers. I think that's crucial as well. And then obviously, for our current users or consumers to use it, we have the GenAI prompt builder. So we're using it, and these are the three pillars, I suppose, in which we're using it. Obviously, for me, leading up the IT organization is how do we enable it for our employees to be more productive as well. While also, one of the things that we need to watch is cost and managing cost. There's a lot of cost associated with GenAI, and we need to be mindful in relation to how we use it. And equally, there's always the new shiny tool. Everybody wants to use lots of different tools, and if you start doing that straight away, then you've got a whole plethora of applications there, right? And you've got one function maybe using this tool to do one thing, and another function using a different tool. You know, there's an element of optimization involved then. So it's navigating all of that as well. And we're no different to any other IT organization and how we manage this and move that forward. I think there's training of employees. Obviously, in a tech company, people are much more willing to engage in it and look at it. But equally, there are people who are more reluctant, and it's helping them and training them to move forward as well.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about the way technology has gone from the regular telephone to the cell phone to the smartphone, and the window of adoption is shrinking so fast. And with AI, it's not just people adopting the technology, it's how fast the technology itself is moving. Just look at GPT as one example as to how they've gone from 1 to 2 to 3 to I think 4 now. It's just unreal in some cases. It's very scary, and very, very scary. And I think, and we've done a really good job, Emerald has done a really good job, obviously internally, educating what we should do, how we should use it, and everything that goes around using an AI tool from a privacy perspective. But every day it seems like there's another tool that does something else. And you have to wonder, if you're putting your video out there somewhere, are they scanning your voice? Are they going to be able to duplicate your voice to say things that you're not saying? The face and facial matching, that's already happening. So I think we have to now focus on governance. I think everyone's super excited, right? As well as scared out of their mind as to what this could do. And both are valid, right? But I think going forward, I think there needs to be some governance around it. And obviously all the governments around the world are either taking a hard stance against it, or they're investigating to figure out what is doable, what vendors can store and provide, and how do they have to report in terms of what they're storing, where they're storing. So it's kind of like cloud on steroids. I remember when cloud first came out and everyone's like, oh, no, I'm never putting my data there. Now everything's in the cloud. That was only 12 years ago. But this has only been a year, not even a year, right? So it's scary, but I think the future is bright. And, Anne, I just want to thank you for your leadership and for being on the show and giving us your perspective, because it's great for our customers, our partners, our distributors, people out there, right, that are listening in to understand what we're doing to help our folks internally as well as our customers.
Sure, my pleasure, Nathan.
Excellent. Thanks again, Anne. And that's it, folks. That's another episode of Unscripted. Join us next time.